Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, Jeremy Adrian here. Welcome back to the channel. Hey, we've got some news for all you Lord of the Rings Online players. Today, a new executive producer's letter has come out from Lotro's executive producer, Rob Cicollini. And we've got some big news for Lotro in the coming months leading up into 2019 as well. I'm going to go through everything in this article. If you want to read it for yourselves, I'm going to put the link in the description box below. And I've also got a guest on here, my resident Lotro expert and good friend Wigga is on here. And we're going to be talking about some of the things that have been mentioned in this letter. And I got to say, first impressions, pretty interesting news. So first things first, update 23 is in the works and it's coming out later this year. It's going to continue the journey from update 22. We are currently in Northern Mirkwood. Update 23 will be moving players along into the Lonely Mountain area and then into the Iron Hills, which is great. So fans of dwarves, you get more dwarvy stuff, not like we haven't had before. I think an entire year or so has been spent in Mines of Moria, but we're going back to the glory days of the dwarf, so that's pretty cool. Now with update 23, there's going to be a new instance cluster in addition to a new raid that's going to be coming out much later, and 80 new quests on the landscape. And the reason there's that many quests, I suppose, is because you're going to be needing all that XP to hit level 120. So the level cap is going to be increasing, and you may be, for that or against that. I don't know. Share your thoughts in the comments section below, as always. And beyond update 23, Lotro, the letter also talks about continuing the Black Book story. And I know kind of last year they promised that, we'd be seeing more of Shelob and stuff with the whole Minas Morgul stuff. That's all going to be moved to 2019. So that's all going to be coming next year. So unfortunately, you're going to have to wait for that. And then the bottom half of the letter, there's other stuff too that the team is currently working on. First things first, let's talk about classes. Apparently, they're looking at revamping some, well, not some, all 10 classes. I'm not sure. They haven't really detailed what exactly they're going to be doing to all these classes, but they're going to be making small adjustments first, and then, changing that based on player feedback or anything. So we'll talk about that later on in this video as well. And then finally, for short-term plans, as the letter says, Lotro are thinking about introducing seasonal instances. So that means we're going to get, dungeons or whatever during the summer festival. And the interesting thing about this is that they will scale for fellowship sizes and for solo players as well. So I don't know. Interesting news for me. We'll talk about that with Wigga later on. And let's just see. Is there anything else that I missed? Well, there's a couple of things that they can't really talk about because it's still in the planning stages. So I'll update you whenever we get the news. All right, Wigga. I'm going to bring you in here. First impressions. What are you most excited about, just from this letter alone? What excites you? What's the big one?
New instances. I've been waiting for that since, for a while. Yeah, I've just been waiting for new instances. I've been getting bored of the Mordor stuff.
Right. There's no instance cluster in update 22 Northern Mirkwood, so players were, I think, still rerunning the Mordor stuff that came out. And I think the rewards hasn't really changed too, right?
Right.
Okay, so about the new instances for update 23. So we do know there's a new instance cluster, right? And it says here it will be designed for both groups and solo players. So I'm not exactly sure what that entails, but later on in the letter you'll see there's this part about seasonal instances, and those will be scaling. So I wonder how they're going to do this. For the new update 23 ones though, apparently it looks like solo players are going to be able to jump into instances now and experience the story, because in the past Lotro have put some stories into their raids and instances. I mean, we see that with the Isengard cluster, for example. Even the vanilla Angmar cluster has stories in them that wraps up the entire zone story. It's not necessary, like you don't need to complete them to finish an epic book quest to move on to the next zone. These are optional, but now solo players can jump in. Your thoughts on that?
I just I don't know. I don't think instances where a solo player instance can compete with the fellowship or raid instance. I don't think those usually work out. Like they're usually like skirmishes, right?
Yeah. And I mean, in the past, I think they've done this, with the whole inspiration thing. There was a couple of regions early on in Lotro where they had some group quests, which are kind of, I don't think they were instance. Maybe I could be wrong, but I think one of them was instance, especially in the troll shots, where you had to use this inspiration buff to buff you up in terms of health and whatever, and then you could finish the instance. That's the only time I've ever seen Lotro allow players to enter one of these things solo. But outside of normal instances, which are dungeons and stuff, the only other content like this that solo players could enter and do and complete would be skirmishes, as Wiga mentioned, and big battles, which came with the Helm's Deep expansion in 2013. For both of those, there's still stuff that you couldn't do because some of these big battles, for example, were made for 3 mans, although players have been successfully soloing them for years because those are easy to cheese. But then there's like the fellowship sized ones that are better done in groups too. So it'll be interesting to see how they implement this, whether or not. Oh, and there's also the whole reward point of view thing, because I'm gonna guess, just judging from how Lotro's been doing things, like you run these instances for currency, and as recent as Mordor, is there something that drops in these instances, like a mark or like something that you'll have to barter for gear, or is it
Yeah, yeah.
cash?
It's ash. It's ash, and there's like some rare items that drop for like crafting, I think.
Okay, so it'll be really interesting to see how they balance that. So I'm guessing groups that complete the group version will get more, I think, and then solo players will get a slightly lower ratio of these because you're doing it solo. All these details about solo instances are still not out yet, so we don't actually know how it's going to function. But if you are a solo player in Lotro, and I believe there's quite a few out there, then I think you'd be happy to note that the developers are looking at giving you a way to complete these instances. Some of you may not have even done any of the Mordor stuff because for some reason you don't want a group or whatever. That's totally fair. I mean, that's how you like to play. So update 23 is going to give you a way to experience the new instances. You're not going to be doing this for the raid, obviously. It is a raid for a reason. But still, pretty interesting that Lotro's bringing back the solo experience. I wonder if that's because of player feedback, or is it just that no one's doing group content anymore, which it's hard to believe because Wiga here has been doing a lot of group content over the past few years. Do you see a drop in the number of players willing or able to run group content? Is that what's going on?
I'm one of those players that just stopped doing group content.
Only recently though, but you were heavily playing all the way up to the end of last year, I think.
Yeah. Whatever, I forget. Like I've been slacking off on Lotro. So like the last raid I was like really into was Throne, and I didn't get a lot into whatever the Mordor raid is. I can't even remember the name right now. But yeah, I guess there's been a drop of players. Certainly, certainly I stopped.
Well, I mean, we all take breaks, and I remember Wiga telling me this like a couple of weeks ago, where she slowly, I mean, we're all slowly just waiting for something big and something drastic to come to Lotro for us to go back and check it out. I mean, that's just how things work. We move MMOs, and it's completely natural. So, update 23, you're excited about the new instance cluster. I'm gonna guess too that you're gonna have to be 120 to start running them. So new zone, new quests, new rewards. I'm interested in seeing the story too. And for me, like, I haven't even started update 22, guys. I'm still stuck in Mordor. The shame. But that's really down to time constraints. I will get there eventually because the game is now moving faster than I am, and I really need to catch up. All right, now I want to get your thoughts on the class changes now, because while the last time I had a really long, lengthy chat about classes was years and years ago, during the Helm's Deep era, where they introduced class trait trees, and that really split the player base. And depending on how these changes work, we could get something similar or not. Again, because there's not a lot of details in this letter, we don't exactly know what they're doing. What are they adjusting? Are they adjusting hit numbers, damage points, or are we looking at skills and the class trait tree? We don't know. So my question to you, Wiga, is what do you think they would change, or what needs changing when it comes to classes?
Well, right now U22.2 is in BR, and one of the things they're doing is class changes. And I think in one of the BR notes they said they wanted just to scale the level damage so it's a lot more balanced or whatever.
Okay, that makes
So
sense.
I just think it's just going to be more of that balancing as the year goes on.
Awesome. Yeah, I should have really looked at the Bull Roarer. And Bull Roarer, for those that don't play Lotro, is Lotro's PDS server where they test everything before release. So yeah, I really should have read Bull Roarer notes before doing this. But hey, it is 7 in the morning, and the first thing when I woke up this morning at 6, the first thing I did was I checked my phone, as we all do these days, and I see a message from Wiga saying 120 Lotro, da, da, da. And this is a link there, and I'm like, oh, big news, gotta check it out, and hence why we're doing this right now. So yeah, I'll go look at the BR notes and look at these class changes. So overall damage output for classes is going up, which makes sense again because the level cap is going up to 120. As for where the classes are, I used to have an army of alts, and then as 2016 onwards came along, I only stopped and displayed my captain. So I cannot speak about any of the other classes. Wiga can speak for a couple of those classes that she plays heavily. But for me, the captain, with where it's at, I don't really see an issue. I mean, some classes are neither here nor there, especially with the new endgame content that Lotro has, like Mordor, for example. Some classes are kind of shoehorned into doing a couple of rules, so you usually get that, guardian tanks or whatever. I have a warden friend who's been complaining to me ever since Mordor came out that wardens have become trivial when it comes to tanking. Almost everybody prefers a guardian instead of the warden, which never used to be the case. Both of them could, tank pretty fine, but apparently now wardens are kind of gimped, so I'm not sure if that's something that's going to change in that tanking section. I don't know, Wiga, you main a tank. What do you think about that, wardens?
Oh yeah, I feel like wardens haven't been used as a main tank in a while. Like, obviously there's those exceptional wardens that that are the exception. They're beyond like the average player.
Right.
But for the most part, yeah, it's been mostly been guards. Like, so much so that even though I've been slacking off like for the past year with my guard, I can still get a slot in a raid faster than a warden.
That's the thing, I remember having this chat like years ago on some roundtable. To tank as a guardian, you can be an okay player, or if you're a good player, everybody loves you. But for you to be an okay tank on the warden, you have to be an excellent player. So that's the skill difference in playing those two classes. So maybe, hopefully, wardens get some love in the upcoming update for tanking, especially because of the instance cluster coming back. Everybody's going to run that. Every time there's a new instance cluster, everybody's going to run that, and I just hope all the classes will be viable, burglars included. I think burglars are seriously underloved in Lotro, so I hope they find their place in the upcoming update.
So right now I'm looking at like one of the notes for like U22
Mm-hmm.
and like the classes they're revamping for this update are champion, guardian, hunter, lore master, minstrel, and warden. No
Nice.
mention of the captain or berg though.
Okay, that's sad. I'm kind of happy about that because, like I said, captains are in a good spot, I think, if you're geared. Burglars, I abandoned mine in 2013, so I'm not in a position to talk about burglars. But okay, that's cool. Now, just seeing the letter here, in case I missed anything. This allows us to improve all of our classes in a shorter time frame and better balance power and group utility in a more responsive way. And that is in response to them making class changes in a faster time frame. So yeah, pretty positive here. Of course, it all depends on execution. Let's see how they pull this off, and then maybe in the future we could revisit this topic and see where classes are once the changes happen. Now, finally, let's go on and talk about these seasonal instances. There's going to be two that's going to be coming with the Summer Festival for Lotro, and Summer Festival usually starts in June. See, I'm in Malaysia.
Yeah, I think so.
I'm in Malaysia.
Yeah,
I only have one season the entire year, which is summer. And I was just telling Wiga before we start recording that for me, how do I keep track of what season it is in America, for example, is when MMOs release their festivals. That's how I know that seasons are changing, except with Christmas and Halloween, obviously, because we do celebrate that in this part of the world. So, okay, June Summer Festival next month, there's going to be two seasonal instances. The first one is actually something that already exists. It is the Thrang 6-man instance from the Rift of Nur's Gashu, and you can slaughter me and hang me out to dry about my pronunciation. I do apologize. I know there's lots of lore, Lotro lore experts out there. I do apologize if I pronounced that wrong. But yep, that's one of the first instances that's going to be revamped for the seasonal instances. Rift of Nur's Gashu, the Thrang 6-man instance. This will be scaling up, so you could grab 6 players if you're all in between or not even at the level cap, no problem, because everybody's going to be scaled up to whatever the cap level for this instance is. It could even be 115, and you can go and do it during the summer festival. Second, they are introducing another one called a perfect picnic. Now, this doesn't sound like any instance I've ever heard, so I guess this is going to be new. The description here is a festivity instance that allows groups of various sizes, including solo players, to enjoy a challenge at their level. So what I was thinking when I was reading this passage was the first part, the Thrang instance being scaled up for the summer festival. Okay, that's normal. I mean, for years and years and years, us players have been calling for some of these old instances, especially in Angmar and in Moria and even Isengard, to please scale up, because that gives a lot more replayability to all these old instances. So the first part of this, Thrang, is going to be great, I suppose, because players can go back and run that. That could be fun. And the best part is, if you're a new player or a returning player, not even at level cap, you still can do this. And I'm not sure if the rewards are going to be changing slightly, so you'll get some summer festival rewards alongside the dungeon rewards. So that remains to be seen. The second one, though, a perfect picnic, this one, you can go in as a group or you can go in solo and enjoy a challenge. Now, I was just telling Wiga that this one sounds like a skirmish, because isn't that what skirmishes are? You can do them solo and you can do them in groups. And the thing is, we haven't seen a new skirmish in, I want to say, 5 years. We haven't seen a new skirmish. I can't be too sure of that, but if you know, please let us know. So yeah, that's my thought on it. It just feels like they're introducing a new skirmish under the moniker of being a seasonal instance. What do you think, Wiga?
I don't know. I don't know if it's gonna be a skirmish. I feel like it's gonna be something more along of like bingo boff and stuff, just from the way it sounds. Like a perfect picnic. Like it's definitely fluffy stuff.
Are you a fan of the bingo boffin episodic journey?
Yeah, kind of.
Okay.
But I definitely liked it. You know, when I was going through it once, but not enough to do it multiple times.
Yeah, once was enough for me too, because that one takes you all over the world, and in hindsight, now, I think the bingo boffin type quest was like a test for them to see if that anniversary scavenger hunt was going to work, because boffin came, I think, a year before the anniversary scavenger hunt came out, so a lot of people did boffin, so I guess they came up with the conclusion that, oh yeah, scavenger hunts, people like them, let's go and do them. So that's just my theory. But okay,
not a fan of scavenger hunt.
No, I'm ashamed to even admit that I didn't even complete it up to year 10. I just could not. This is too much, moving around the world. So out of the two, which one are you more excited for? The the scaling of an old instance during a festival season or doing something new like these festivity instance for solo and groups?
The old instance, because I feel like maybe there's going to be some like old players coming back.
Mm-hmm.
That means then my friends will come back and then we can all raid together again or group together again.
Yeah, that's a positive, and it's great that they're starting off with the Rift dungeons too, because that means with future festivals they'll chronologically add or scale up all these dungeons. My concern or my thoughts about this is, why not make it year round? Why not just make it permanent? Why do you have to put this behind a festival which only comes once a year? Because like I said before, scaling is something that I think Lotro would benefit from, especially when it comes to content replayability, banking on the nostalgia factor. See, other games at this moment, they have introduced like fresh start progression servers where you go back to a near vanilla state and do all the content there. That's kind of successful for a couple of games currently. Lotro doesn't have that, but they do give you the tools like the Stone of the Tortoise, or to reduce or stop your XP gains, and then kinships would go and do the vanilla content on level and everything. So in a way, these things already exist, but why not just scale the instances, So it's a good start that they're thinking about doing this. Sorry, they're not thinking, they're already doing this, starting off with 1 6-man for the Rift. I just hope that, this is going to be a popular thing, and the more players that come back and do this, I hope this shows Standing Stone Games that, okay, this is a step in the right direction. People really want this old content being scaled. Let's go and do some more. And let's not, put it behind a festival. Let's make it all year round. What do you think?
I mean, festivals usually bring in, old players just so they can, get their emotes or new cosmetics or whatever. So there's usually a little bit of surge of population during festival times, and I feel like they're just trying to snag those players in with the nostalgia factor.
Mm-hmm.
And saying like, hey, here's a part of your old favorite instance, play longer than a week.
Play longer than a week. That's great. That almost felt like a personal jab at players like me. I'm not even playing longer than like 2 hours, just slowly chipping away at Mordor, trying to finish it off. Okay, awesome. And that's about it for the letter, really. So overall, this calendar year for Lotro, what they've put out update 22, which a lot of people liked. Some people that I've talked to didn't necessarily like it. It may or may not be someone I'm talking to. I don't know. But update 23 is going to be really closely following up on update 22. So if you're looking for new content, new quests, new stories, new zones, when I say new, meaning we're going there to explore it further, Lonely Mountains, Iron Hills, these are all exciting, especially if you're a fan of Tolkien, you're a fan of Middle-earth, and you want to see the world expanded upon. This is great. The level cap increased to 120. That's just 5 levels, and in between running dungeons and especially if you do it during the summer festival, because those ones scale, then you can get a decent amount of XP. And I'm sure all the others will scale too. The favorites for leveling include warg pens, and there's a bunch of other instances that you can just cheese for a ton of XP. Sword horls, and so 5 levels isn't that high to attain. And the Black Book of Mordor will continue much later on. New instance cluster, new raid. So pretty exciting, I would say, if you're a Lotro player. So yeah, any final thoughts, Wiga, about anything else that you think Lotro should be doing for the rest of the year?
I don't know about that level 120 though.
Okay, share your thoughts.
It feels just really daunting for like any returning players or new players. 120 levels. It's like I keep thinking about how I still haven't played a high elf, and I've been thinking about playing a high elf RK. And I just keep thinking about I have to get it through so much, and now they're adding another 5 levels. And like at this point, the only way I'd ever play like a new tune, new tune, is if I Aria of the Valor, not like gifted like to 110. I think that's what the Aria is. Like, there's no way I'm playing 1 through 110 just fresh.
When you put it that way, yeah, I feel that. I mean, if you're currently an active player and you've already leveled multiple alts, then this doesn't really affect you. You know, this angle's more for like returning players, like I said, and you know, casual players like me. I know what you're talking about, and I felt it coming back to do Mordor, getting from 105, which was, you know, the last cap, to 115, the current cap. That's 10 levels, and I'm gonna be so honest, you know, getting those 10 levels in Mordor was a real slog. It was so painful. I used every trick up my sleeve of being a long-time Lotro player to get those XP, in addition to those quest scroll buffs. I forgot what they were called anymore. XP scrolls. And I did that all without being a subscriber, so I don't have rested XP or anything. Really painful. So I see where you're coming from with the next 5 levels. I have already vowed not to level another alt through the whole game. And I have an Aria of the Valar sitting in my vault, but the thought of going through, you know, the Aria...
just going through Mordor again? No way.
Yeah, exactly. Unless, you know, we get like a big group of 5 people and we romp that like every Wednesday or something, then I wouldn't mind doing that. But, you know, going for it solo is just painful. So yeah, I can see where it's coming from, and you know, there's going to be a discussion of whether or not the new level cap is necessary. But Lotro has gone through a point where I think there was about 4 or 5 quest specs coming out which didn't increase the level cap, and a lot of players were questioning why. That entire Gondor sequence of quest packs, you know, from Old Anorian, East Gondor, Central Gondor, Western Gondor, when you put that all together, that's actually big enough for an expansion. But Lotro just released that as, you know, quest packs. A lot of people were questioning why, over the span of 2 years, did you not increase the level cap? So now they are, and there's.
Could you imagine, like, what level would we be at if they did?
Exactly. I mean, if they did that, like maybe 1 or 2 levels per quest pack, then reduce Mordor's level to like 5 instead of the 10, maybe it could work, but it's all just speculation now. But there's another MMO that is increasing the level cap to 120 this year, and that's World of Warcraft. So it could just be a thing, you know. Like, I'm not saying it like they're copying, or that's not what I do here at the channel. We don't create that kind of drama. Go ahead.
How many years does WoW have on Lotro?
3 years.
Oh, okay. So it's not that big of a gap. I was gonna say,
yeah.
What's the level cap in WoW right now?
110.
All right, so Lotro is higher.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think it's 110. Yeah, it's 110. Yeah. I should know this. I was just playing it last night. too many games and levels just going through my mind.
But no, like, my initial thought when I read level cap is going to be increased to 120 was like, WoW's not even there yet, and WoW is older than Lotro.
Yeah, I mean, with WoW, they're being kind of smart though. I think they're really if there's a reason to increase it, they will, because that usually involves a chunk of new content, and obviously we're comparing 2 different games here. When WoW releases an expansion, for example, like, there's just so much to do. Like I'm not kidding you, there's too much to do. You will definitely hit that level cap. In Lotro's case, you never know, you know, but you will eventually get there. But like I said, it's better if you are a VIP subscriber and, you know, you have access to all the bonus XP and stuff. Or you could always just get in a group and just go grind all these mobs in the landscape, you know, to get that XP.
Yeah.
So
that's what I did for, like, after my guard went through naturally. My guard's always my first team through new content. But like, after that, I just grouped on my hunter and I just farmed stuff to 115.
Nice. That's when the ash farming was at its height. That's no longer a thing, right?
Nah, I wish. That's part of the reason I quit.
Okay. That last sentence there is pretty interesting. We'll probably get Wigga back to talk about that. And also, for those watching, I've started a new series on YouTube called Community Roundtable Discussions, where, you know, I bring various different players from a certain MMO on to talk about that certain MMO. I've just recorded one for World of Warcraft, And I'm thinking about doing one for Lord of the Rings Online as well, because at least with Lord of the Rings Online, I have a lot of experience and knowledge here, as does Wiga. So I'm going to be bringing you back for that, Wiga. And I am now currently looking for other players, Lotro players that want to be that want to come in and talk to. So if you know anybody, Wiga, feel free to send an invitation.
I might know some. Okay. I might have a suggestion or two.
Awesome. So that one should be coming out maybe closer to update 22. So I'll time the discussions closer to new content, so it's relevant. And with that, any final words for Lotro, or for the letter in general?
Don't mess with my lore master again.
Don't mess up the lore master. For the whole class thing, I mean, what's the worst they can do? Honestly, they've already done the class trait trees. They've done certain adjustments.
No, I read the. Okay, this is in BR, so it's subject to change, right?
Okay.
They're getting rid of the the little blue sucky power skill for the lore master. They're getting rid of it completely.
The one that restores power?
The one that steals power and then restores your power, then you can, distribute that power amongst your group.
So that's going away?
It's going away. And then they're like reducing the amount of power you can give to people. And then they're changing one of the skills from a power restore to a health restore. Like right now, my lore master is just a battery and they're gonna kill my battery.
I'm literally scratching my head trying to think of, so that, I mean, in the old days, at the height of when we were raiding actively and everything, that was the lore masters that could do that and did that actively, just restore power to the group. Everybody loves that. By taking that away, that's kind of like making the lore master irrelevant again. But I can see, like, I'm not sure about you, but in the past expansion and so, was power ever an issue for you? Because it wasn't for me.
In the last expansion, well, yeah, it was an issue for hunters.
Okay.
Okay, so like during Mordor, the best DPS hunter was actually a blue line hunter instead of a red line hunter. Oh. And blue line hunters, they eat through power so fast, and so whenever you have, especially if you have 2 or 3 hunters in your group, you really need to be able to keep an eye out on, power distribution. Right. So that's what I was doing back when I was still raiding.
Okay, and the blue hunter is the one that can fire on the move. It's the mobile hunter.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, there should be a reason, for them removing that. It could be because power is becoming less of a management thing anymore. Some classes do have lines that will chew through power. I mean, for me as a captain, I think the yellow line does that a lot because just off experience, when being in red and blue, you always have skills that will restore your power and heals anyway, so you never really run out. So maybe they're just making power less of a thing, less of a mechanic now. I don't know. We'll
yeah, see. I don't know.
But yeah, we'll see. It's one characteristic of the lore master that's now going away too. So okay.
Next,
I hope
they're coming for my pets.
Your pets are fine. I mean, if all goes wrong, just stick to your guardian and we go. Just stick to your guardian. Just play one class. Alrighty, and with that, I'm gonna wrap up the video. Again, the article is linked in the description box below. You can also check out their Facebook page or on the forums. And yeah, if you're interested in hearing all these class changes, whatever, there's Bulwark patch notes for that, which you can also go check out. In terms of myself, will I be jumping into update 23? I ask for your patience. I am dealing with a lot of different games at the moment, and there's only so much I can do at any given week. So I will try and chip away and make my way to Lotro's newest update. I am interested in seeing the new instances, again, time thing, the scaling ones, and all this good stuff. So as and when I can, I will update you guys. And also stay tuned for that Lotro community roundtable discussion with Wiga and a couple of other folks. That'll be pretty fun. So with that, thanks Wiga for being on such short notice, and thanks for waking me up with some important Lotro news today. And yeah, for the rest of you, hit the like button for Lotro, and if you're excited for the future, and if you're new here, feel free to subscribe to the channel for more MMO content. I cover more than one MMO, so you should be able to see a lot of good stuff. And yeah, that's it. Once again, Jeremy Adrian here, and I thank you guys for watching. Roses are red, violets are blue. If you want to watch more videos, click on these cards. Anyone would do. And if you want to watch more videos, subscribe to the channel with the button down here. I know you want to.